Okay, we are live. So let's welcome Deepti. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Raman. Hi, everyone there.
Hi. So this is Ramanuj from LawSikho, and today we have Deepti Sutaria as our guest, and she is an expert on cybercrime, and today we're going to talk about psychology of cyber criminals. And she's actually very experienced in this area of cyber crimes, and she has even taken a she played a part in drafting the IT Information Technology Act of 2000. So we are very lucky to have her today. Hi, Deepti. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Raman. Thank you.
All right. So the topic is very interesting. It's not our standard usual legal topic. So psychology of cyber criminals. Why does it matter? Why is this topic important?
Let's speak first is like, why does it matter your question. But first, let us talk about who are psychiatrists and psychologists.
Okay.
They are the licensed professionals, and they assess both physical and mental states of any human being.
Mm-hmm.
Now, psychology is a very important subject to know the psyche of a person before, anybody, you interact with. Actually, when in common terms, when we are speaking to each other, we say, look at his psyche, he thinks positive or she thinks negative. So first is the term psychology, which I would say that then again, there are certain patterns in which, typical individuals, they commit the crimes and all. So here the cyber psychology is different and the normal psychology of the criminals here. When we're talking about psychology in general, it is something different. Cyber psychology is something which is connected to computers, technology. That's very common sense. That's very basic. Now, why does it matter? Because, today when we are discussing cyber psychology, it is not only the psychology of the individuals, who are sitting behind the computer screens in a positive way, but it could also be, we'll be talking about how the, brain really maps down when the criminals are thinking about how to go ahead and commit a crime. So, criminal psychologists, they have dealt with many investigative work, and they, while doing this, they even examine the photographs, they interview the individuals, so that helps them to, locate through different patterns. Like, there's like clinical psychology, we go through experimental, actual, these are different terms when we use in psychology. So it does matter in a criminal case. It does matter for a common individual to individual when we are talking to each other, when we are interacting. That's, as I again repeated, is positivity and negativity. So it all depends. Psychology is a major subject when we are dealing with any individual, to any crime, to any positive aspect in this world. It is a very, very important topic to be discussed.
Right. So, should lawyers pay attention to the psychological aspects while they are doing their work? Like, because when
yes, we need to discuss about this aspect. First of all, we legal eagles were working up till now. We were working on crimes, the crimes which are happening offline, and I'll discuss both the issues. Like, we were working offline, when we are talking about the IPC, the CRPC, and the crimes which are happening, this murder, rape, these kind of theft, all these kind of offline crimes. Now, when they have come as online crimes, they have become the cyber crimes. And now, the lawyers really need to understand the students who are practicing criminal law. First of all, they really need to understand that there is wide section of IPC and information technology which mixes, coordinates together, and then you file the really the FIRs or the complaints or whatever. So lawyers first need to understand that, what kind of a crime has happened online. Yeah. That's maybe the crime has happened on WhatsApp. Maybe it has happened, cyber laundering, or it's hacking, freaking, phishing, different kind of crimes which are happening. So lawyers really, first of all, they need to understand when it comes down to the crimes that the cyber psychology of the criminals is to be dealt by the police. But your role as a cyber psychologist is very, very helping when you are called by the police professionally, and then you are, asked to access certain files, which you need to see the chain of crimes if the criminal has committed. So one needs to read the patterns in which the crimes they happen. Many times, you will see these days, there was a African group who was doing certain kind of thefts. That was online money laundering, which was happening. And I think this African group was somewhere in Delhi, Gurgaon. Then the police had to really trace them out, and they took it, they took some time to trace them, but they could see that, a chain of events, they had repeated the similar strategy which they were doing in one theft. They repeated the same. But here I would even parallelly tell you, the lawyers, that you sometimes when many times the criminals, they have a set pattern, or otherwise they can also have a pattern where they keep changing it. But it's very difficult for the audience, the lawyers to really trace out. Because if they're working closely with the police and they're working as cyber psychologists, then if they're well affiliated with the cyber crimes, then of course, they can end up with the details of the crimes, how that's happening. But even as psychologists, if they're working as I'm working, so, we have to look into this, as I repeat, the pattern of their theft or their cyber laundering, or maybe even the rapes, even the online abuse which happens. And then comes the psyche of a person, where you see that what is his background? Has he been in the same condition of the mental status? Is he sane or insane? When a criminal, he is committing a crime, we have to look into the psyche. Psyche is the major thing, why did and how did he committed crime. If you see right now, at this time of pandemic, there are 50,000 accounts which have been hacked, actually, of Zoom. And these accounts which have been hacked by these hackers, they have provided the passwords to one particular company. They have sold these passwords. And by selling these passwords, they have got money instead of those passwords. Because right now we really don't know which all, the websites and equally the people's major accounts will be, or the computers will be really opened up and, they'll be hacked. So these kind of crimes which are happening, the lawyers need to understand if they're really interested in cyber psychology, and if even not, if they're even looking into the crimes which are happening on computers, online and offline crimes, they need to know the major thing is the psyche of any individual that is the criminal, And that is, again, I told you, that is, kind of, you have to work with the police, which goes to be experimental, where they keep doing certain experiments. Then there's clinical, where, they can interview the criminal, and the police can call him, as hum kehte na ki, we speak that the police has called this guy, for interrogation. So during that interrogation, we come to know the psyche of the this criminal. That is majorly important. Now, experimental is, like we go through certain.
How is it useful once you know the psychology of the cyber criminal? How can we use, like, how does that become useful, or what steps can be taken after we know?
That is very important to catch up with the crime. Initially, if I'll just
so as an investigative step, it is very important, because it helps.
And equally for a cyber psychologist, if he joins, he helps out the investigative team. But the only thing is that when the the criminal initially would definitely say no to anything, you know. Even if we go into the courtrooms and we cross-examine this criminal, you know. So the first sentence is, आप जब कोर्ट्स में रहते हैं, जब जितना भी क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन चलता है वो लोअर कोर्ट्स में चलता है। आप जब लोअर कोर्ट्स में जाते हैं और पूछते हैं, अधिवक्ता जब उनसे पूछते हैं कि क्या आपने ये जुर्म किया है, आप इकबाल का इसका, डू यू रियली से यस टू दिस व्हाट यू हैव डन? So the person says, no, I don't agree, because we lawyers also, when you know the defendant lawyers, they really teach their people out there, you know, कि आपको साहब के सामने बोलना है कि नहीं, आपने ये जुर्म नहीं किया है. But then slowly, steadily, you know, the police with the investigations, the evidence and the witnesses, we come out and we say, look, you know, he has done. At the end of the show, we prove that, yes, you know, he is a criminal. So that is, you know, experimental. Then there are many actual and then clinical, as I discussed out with you, that these type of patterns which the police, through the investigations when they work, they can catch up with these criminals, and it takes some time. And when it comes down to India, I will definitely speak about right now also the IT Act is having many you know, loopholes, as I had already written and mentioned in the subject where I was to discuss. Now loopholes, you know, because our laws are not that stringent, you know. And even if we have stringent laws, we have the other options for bail applications we are putting. And of course, you know, they are scot-free. They go scot-free because we have many alternatives in our laws. That is IPC, CRPC, everywhere you can see that the stringent laws also at one
Can you
point
give an example?
Yeah. It's an example.
Can you give an example of a cyber psychology where it helped an investigation, or in some examples might be
as right now I had spoken about this Zoom thing, you know. I'll give you another example when it comes down to the social media forums, you know. When the social media forums, it comes down, you've seen that you know, it's these days there's a lot of this is a common thing which I'm telling you, a lot of abuse happening on Twitter and the other social media forums. This is very general, but suddenly if a politician comes out with something, or anybody comes out there, then of course we ask him for an apology, and this is a very normal common crime online which is happening. When I speak about the other crime, I hope you know that ages before there was, you know, GeoCities. They used to give us free space to make your own website, right? When they had given free space to make your own website, geocities.com, they you know, people started making their own sites. They started making their own videos. That is very, very initial phase of cyber, you know, world, when cyberspace in India, you know, somewhere I'm talking about 1992, 93, 94, when I'm talking about. So in those days, you know, the children used to do that, and many times they often accessed, you know, the videos also. Where one case which had come down to me, I was a very young and elite lawyer. I just started my practice then in cyber laws, coming down to India. It was like, you know, a boy, he was a son to an army officer. And what did he do? He was in an affair with a girl. How the crime really goes ahead. He was in an affair with this little girl, and he used to access his photographs, and, you know, he used to make his videos on his phones and all. And the girl used to feel very good that, you know, like, my boyfriend, he loves me and all that stuff. And then slowly, steadily, the boy started, you know, his friends also started accessing the videos. And then he started putting those videos online on that GeoCity space, where, you know, every human being could really see it, what is happening, you know. Then this boy got an idea where the pornography stuff then was being sold in America and the other countries. This boy started selling these photographs of this girl and videos as per demands to those very pornographic sites which they were demanding from there. So, you know, this crime was caught when, you know, we had to diligently, me and the police officials, we diligently, closely worked, and we had to catch him up. And then, you know, like, ultimately he went to America, he was sort of a major general. Finally, we had to catch up with this guy. calling up all his videos, looking into that one single way, the way he used to send these photographs, the girl was in swimsuit, many a time she was in a bikini, many a time she was in different attires. So this is how, we came to know that his psyche right now is like he wants to make a quick money, and a quick money, he could only make it by selling these photographs and the videos in the other country, other nation. So that was a very starting, I'm speaking about the crimes in India. That is somewhere around 92, 93. Now, I talk again about the second case, about the Wokhard Hospital. Wokhard Hospital, you must be knowing, this is very much known hospital. Suddenly one day, somebody called me and said that, "Madam, I want to meet you because I'm a doctor and I'm working with the Wokhard Hospital and I have a case to discuss out with you." I invited him and I said, "What is it something serious?" He said, "Madam, it's something which, I will be arrested very soon, which I have an inclination, because the reason being is that this doctor, look at the psyche again. The psyche is involved in the crime, and this is a white collar crime. The doctor, at that time, he was solely handling the Wokhard Hospital because the girl now, who's the CEO of Wokhard Hospital, she was studying in America and her father was very ill. He was not able to look much after this hospital, and he handed over to the CEO of the hospital. He said, "Then you'll have to look into the entire hospital management and doctors coming in and all that." Suddenly, Wokhard was parallelly coming up with a different project of something marvelous, which they never wanted to discuss it out right now with the doctors and other people, but only with the CEO. And the CEO knew this very beautiful project of this Wokhard Hospital. And then the original owners of the hospital, as I mentioned, he was not well and he was not coming to the hospital. This doctor very diligently, we have an internal server everywhere, now in the companies, organizations, on from where all the files are, going to the other servers out wherever we are sending the mails. So this guy, what does he do? He sends out the entire project, what it had been, discussed out with him. And he thought, why not I do this project rather they do? I'll just copy down the entire project, but I will do it in a different way. So that is also infringement of, whatever, of course, he knew. And parallelly a crime, because he had transferred through the internal server all the project reports and the copies to his wife on her email ID. And then after doing this, he suddenly resigned. He said, "No, I won't be able to work." And parallelly, he started this project. So it took time, a year, 2 years time, and the owners were just, kind of trusting him that, he's doing his job very fabulously and diligently. But suddenly, when his daughter, she comes from America and she looks into certain things because she was quite diligent. She could make over that, this project, it has been already leaked to his wife. She checked up the internal server and all. And then, of course, finally, this guy, he was arrested. But I could not really take an interim bail or a bail for him because there are always good cases and bad cases, good clients and bad clients. And you even talk about the good lawyers and the bad lawyers. So I never wanted to be a lawyer who's, getting into this and standing before the honorable courts and fighting for such cases where actually the lawyers knowing that yes, this crime has happened. Of course. So, I really said no to this particular case because there was a brand and I never wanted to spoil my name with brands at all. So this is how, the cyber psychologists, they come in the scene. The lawyers have to know how every crime which they are dealing as cyber crime has to be really, if you are even dealing with cyber psychology, the psyche of a criminal. And you have to be there, to understand actually, how did the series of the crimes happen. Now you can even, the other example I can give you about these little girls, these days in the foreign countries. And if you see right now, you can see the Chinese companies, they have come up with many applications in India where they are, catching up with all the youth of India, the young boys and girls, and they're asking them to get into these chat rooms and talk any kind of rubbish which they can. They can access the videos, they can be all night, they can be there the entire night, and they are even talking sex, they're even talking pornography, they're even talking abuse, which these Chinese companies like, applications like Bigo, Miko, and TikTok and all. You've seen recently, Twitter was sounding bad with, just block this TikTok, and we don't want Chinese companies out here because they're spoiling. Because even the murders are happening online, because the children, half of the children, many of the children, what I feel is 50%, they are illiterate. Most of them, they are making quick money, because these very sites, they give you points and they give you stars where they, exchange it for money. So money packages, like, you have got those set BPOs and the LPOs and all this, when all night these young and youth, they keep working there. And suddenly if they come to know the account details or anything, when they're accessing with the customers abroad, they really misuse, and they go ahead in cyber laundering, doing those, they are hackers, they're working as hackers. So this is quite diligent and intelligent of the entire police out there. In America, you can even say that FBI has a unit called behavioral analysis unit, where they look into the psyche of these criminals and they study case for case, and they really notify all the cases that if they have a similar case, they will definitely put into the file. They'll find files. Of course, this case happened. It is a similar kind. Now, there are many things, many things, many cases which I can really discuss online, but we are in short of time. So I would say, like, these many cases which are coming up has to have lawyers' attention of cyber psychology is very important subject for lawyers to really read. Even if they don't want to take a degree as a specialization, they can always read about cyber psychology. How does it really work with the criminals?
So I was going through some cyber psychology related things, and mostly I found that cyber psychology discusses a lot about things like, online identity, then how people are getting depressed from use of this thing, and then trolling and bullying, and
yes,
how people
cyberbullying. Okay.
Yeah, and also like negative relationships, and how people are developing, disconnection with reality, and so on and so forth. So,
okay. Now,
So in that light, in light of cyber criminals, also I wanted you to talk a little about general cyber psychology and what it is and where the study stands. But besides that, I also want to ask you a question about the psychology of victims, because I think,
psychology. You want to ask me a question on psychology?
Yeah, psychology of the victim. So we talked about the psychology of the criminals, yes, but I think
of the
equally
victim.
important.
Let us discuss it out.
Equally important, because I think the criminals are basically exploiting the psychology of the victims. They will understand the psychology of the victims very well.
Right.
I'm sorry. So most of the cases they want to. So for example, people have a desire to make quick money, which is the Nigerian scams were so successful because people have this fantasy that someday somebody will write to them and give them lots of money out of the blue. And so they were, this is basically playing to people's fantasies. And there are so many other such things as well, where I think we should talk about the psychology of the victim also, because that is something positive can be done about that through education and through even lawyers can train their clients.
Let's talk about the psychology of the victim. Now, victims are, anybody can be victim. When we call about the social media forums right now, as you can see, that my experience with the social media forums has been a wide experience about the cases. When I look into, let us talk in general. In general, I'll talk cases. What is the psychology of, how does a victim feel? Suddenly when you find these days on Twitter, hashtag is running against any individual. Now, let us talk about a case like Karan Oberoi, who was this Me Too campaign. Let us talk about MJ Akbar. Let us talk about Karan Oberoi. Let us talk about all the Me Too people who were suffering, and these women were going to the courtrooms, and there was a huge even Nana Patekar and all. Nana Patekar, of course, I had been speaking to him many a times on this, what was going on. I'll tell you what happens with the victim. I'll talk the case of Nana Patekar here because I was in touch with him, of course, as this lady, this Bengali lady. With no offense, please, we have to look into this disclaimer. All attending the seminar, that we have to look into the disclaimer that this is without any offense, and I'm not being biased towards any victim or any criminal. But what happens is, like, in one go, when we suddenly got up one fine morning and we just read about that, Nana Patekar has done this, and the Me Too movement has started running on the social media forums. Nobody was actually knowing what is Me Too actually. First of all, Me Too was started by Tarana Burke in America, and that was something very sensible, where a girl had been raped, and that black girl was not getting justice. So she came down, and in the West, they really talk when the things are very, kind of, they go to the extremities, It's not simply eve teasing or chatting something, when we are chatting on the WhatsApp, and that is a chat which is, we are compromising each other. We are compromising that you start a chat, I start a chat. You say how you are, I say I'm fine, and then you go on different topics where the woman feels very, uncomfortable. Either she should leave the forum and silently, and not start, feeling that yes, because he's been telling me. You cannot directly take this abuse, but here what happens in the case of Nana Patekar, let me speak. All the men who had been put down in this Me Too movement, they were feeling like victims because, whatever happened then was a mutual thing. Here in the case of Mr. Nana Patekar, there was nothing mutual and nothing happened actually. But maybe the woman felt offended because of his, maybe he kept waiting for a long time, then she came in, then he thought that she's showing her attitude, and many things happened at that scene. Everybody has read already. But when the victim, like Nana Patekar, did not speak anything before the media or the, anybody, he did not come in front of the world only with one single line. He said, the matter is going on and we'll look into that. That moment, his psyche was that, in a switch of a moment, this girl has brought me down, where people are not trusting me at all. I have not done anything. Even the chairperson, Mrs. Vijaya Rahatkar, had gone through the entire case. Even the FIR was lodged then. And when the FIR had been lodged, everything was done, all the details were taken, but this lady could not turn, she could not turn to the police station. So the FIR was closed, actually. And equally, later on, still, she is going to go to the High Court. But at this moment of the hour, the psyche of Nana Patekar is that he's not getting the work in the Bollywood. His image has been deteriorated, his dignity, which he maintained for so many years, it has been, challenged by a lady. So we need to understand that the victim right now is facing a tough time. But again, will he be able to really make up his lost, image in the common public? Or will he do something extra, like, he keeps working for the farmers, and now he has come to know the actual world, in this tough time. Even he lost his mother. So losing his mother again, we could see that, there was no general public who had gone in his mother's cremation. So it is funeral. It is very difficult, Ramanuj, that this time it is not single-handedly Nana Patekar. If you talk about a case like Karan Oberoi, this man was put in the jail, and he was till say around I think 3-4 months he was in jail, and a very known face is Pooja Bedi. She was fighting for her, and every time we could you read it in the newspapers that today he's in the jail, and the police officers have shown some negligence in filing his applications, and still he's not out on bail because he's a celebrity. So again, the psyche comes here. If you're a celebrity, you have to get into the jail for a long time because public goes on. Now, what is the victim feeling? Now, Karan Oberoi was feeling so bad that he was losing his weight. It went mentally, physically, emotionally. Every time it was just hammering him. So he was completely down. And when he came out, he really had he held a function somewhere, kind of an awareness program somewhere in the some open ground where many men had supported, saying that if women can come ahead and go to National Commission Women and they can talk about the rights, so why can't I talk about my rights? Why can men talk about their rights? So this is one case where I have discussed this. Now the social media, there comes a second case when these days girls are much into again I'll repeat, making quick money.
So I think we should not dismiss everybody, but there would be genuine cases and there would be fake cases.
You have to speak a bit louder.
Yeah, am I audible? Deepti?
Yeah, are you audible? But speak a bit
so
louder.
I'm sure that it is not our or your intention to dismiss all cases. There are these are difficult situations where there are genuine cases and there are fake cases. The point is that there should be an investigation, and
yes, and
people who are responsible should be held to account.
Depression. Even a case, I'll just quickly tell you, a case happened where the Facebook went live and these boys were raping a girl. Where then Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg was really alerted that you cannot do this. You have to keep a check on your people out there, whomsoever is coming down and being a Facebook user. So you have to set down some terms and conditions and policies you have to define, and which he has defined, but many times the people, they don't follow. But then what is the alternative for that? The alternative is that these people who are the owners of such media, the platforms, they have to look into how they can go ahead. It is only not blocking. Blocking does not give you anything, or even suspending an account does not give you anything, because again you have that identity theft and you have multiple accounts coming up. The user changes his name and he comes out with a different name. So this is again a crime which is happening there. So many incidences on social media forums make the victims go into depression. Even the girls, they don't return, they don't come back on Twitter once they are being chased badly. They are getting into this bullying, cyberbullying, and this cyber chase really.
Yeah, and this is another question that I would like you to address. Women face vicious trolling on social media, right? On Twitter, it is a regular. Women face a lot of trolling on social media and gender-based attacks. So, any thoughts on that? What is happening and what is
trolling is a very good subject. When you're talking about trolling these days, we women have got very smart. Actually, we women have got very smart, and now we really give back to men. Actually, when it comes down to trolling, and all the women gangs are there on. You see them on Twitter, you see them on different social media forums. एक औरत के साथ होता है तो they'll come lakhs of women, they'll start writing articles and blogs and everywhere. But the only thing is, as you really see that but this is wrong somewhere. I'll tell you how it goes wrong actually. What happens, there are certain terms and policies which have been defined by the social media forums. First of all, as I said, that nobody follows them, and if it's a simple mistake, which I really don't know. I don't want to discuss out this case of yours where LawSikho had also gone through the trolling and all. I'm sorry to say that. But, that was something wrong in negative trolling. And trolling can be positive and trolling can be negative, And positive trolling, of course, where you're not abusing the person, but you're talking decently and showing the place and saying, look, this is wrong, which you've done wrong. So, you have to correct yourself and check yourself rather than, you getting hyper and collecting the gangs of, people out here, and then you start trolling, and the women especially who are trolled, actually, they are chased. Then it is only I've seen people like Jack on the Twitter. I've got my friends like that Miss Paul, and even there's one legal advisor with the name of Vidya. She looks into the entire things. And every time when though I was on Twitter earlier where Mr. Narendra Modi was following me and all, but then I just closed down that account because it was being a mess. In psychologically I was getting into like, what is this happening, and let me get out for a month. So it's been only, I think, 15, 20 days, 20, 25 days where I'm not there on Twitter. But what happens is actually, when these women are trolled, that is a bad sign, because then they rebuke, they get back, and they start trolling. And if this
it is a cycle of viciousness. Basically, people are attacking each other, and there is more and more negative.
Yes, there is viciousness. I can understand they are malified intentions. They speak rotten. They speak very bad. Means I have read messages to the extremities of killing and threatening with the leftists and the right wingers and all. I would not like to name anybody out there, but then this is not the way. Even if you can see when most honorable Minister Sushma Swaraj was alive, she was told. Even Mrs. Menaka Gandhi, whom I've been working with for the WCT ministry, formulating laws and policies, we do that. Like, they have been trolled badly. Now, what happens is, even sometimes you see Mrs. Smriti Irani and all, honorable people out there, anybody out there. So that is viciousness, and you speaking rotten there. Then either the social media platforms themselves, they block them on a reporting them. One. The alternatives. The second goes, the person who's the victim, who's been facing this trolling, the woman will go to the next by police station, cybercrime cell, and they'll just go ahead and they'll file a report against the person who's been trolling, and through the IP addresses and all, the person is traced, and then he's put in the jail. Like, I'll tell you a case here is Mahesh Murthy. If you know Mahesh Murthy, he's a known name in the world of corporate world. Mm-hmm. Mahesh Murthy was again, I'll tell you about his psychology was that, and even the females, family, I'll discuss how they went into that. Mahesh Murthy is a big billionaire. He owns money. He owns many properties, and he's an angel investor. So he calls up, these girls, and they come down to a cyber cafe in regular. Dono taraf galti hai. Both of them, they are wrong. Mahesh Murthy calls these girls in Bandra. He has set down one cafe where he meets these girls. So if one girl is coming and meeting him, he has already set the norms that, in that bar where he calls the coffee shop, I don't think so, if I'm right, there are no cameras. And he chooses one corner to go and sit there, and he starts talking to the girl, and he starts molesting her. Now, this one case goes to several women, and then at the end, he starts talking, and then he says, I don't want to marry you, but I want you to be mother of my child. And then the woman runs down to the nearby police station, and she says, look, this man has molested me. Now, only talking this, it cannot be molestation, He just asked you whether, I love you, and I don't want to marry you.
It may not be molestation, but it is still harassment, right? If people
are this is harassment. This is harassment. But, still the courtrooms, they have to come to the police stations, the lost FIRs, everybody has to come down to a decision whether he's a molester, he's a person who sexually harassed the woman.
It needs to be determined, of course.
Yeah. Sure. So that is where, you find such cases in the social media forum where even you find the identity theft, as I told you, you find a, gender exchange, a girl becomes a boy and a boy becomes a girl. So you really don't know. So there,
when I was trying to read about cyber psychology, I saw that this is a specific area of study, that online gender identity switching is a very common phenomenon. And
yes.
So why does this happen? What is the reason for that?
I tell you, when the crime happens in general, we say that is, there are three types of criminals. They are born criminals. Then we talk about who were really, getting into some deformities, or they are insane actually. They get into insanity. And the ones who are, suffering from some kind of mental illness, and they are psychopaths. So what happens when you are facing such people, the psychopaths? They really don't have, a set pattern of doing such crimes. But this mental disorders which they are suffering from, they are a patient, and then they commit this crime. Mental illness, what we speak about, that makes them an offender. That is what, and then there's environmental and genetic. आप कहते हैं कि, you take two children, a child who is a son to a dacoit and a son to a sage, a very good person, a very good family. You put him in an environment where they're all thieves there or dacoits there. So the very good child will also start doing the similar things what those bad people are doing there. And even if you put a bad child into a good atmosphere, he'll definitely do something positive. So it is all about the brain game, what you talk about, the psyche, as I repeated, the psyche which is to be tested, and whether the person is sane or insane. As we say that the crime came first, or the mental disorders came first. So we say that here we say that the mental disorders came first, in my view, which had really got into these people out there. They committed crimes. That is there, of course. And even the white-collar crimes now, like people like Vijay Mallya you speak about, Nirav Modi they speak about, they do crimes because of lawyers like us, We really put them into what are the loopholes in law. So we are also equal partner in their crime, actually. The politicians are equal partner in their crimes, actually, So this is a move where now we are many of us, we are criminals. When we talk about Mallya, Nirav Modi, and all of the cases, of course, there are many people, when they learn from the lawyers what are the trends and how they can really get out of it, That's it.
Okay. So one question is that if you face, different kind of cyber crimes, it is very difficult to establish the identity of who has done it. So what is it that people can do in such scenarios? So, for example, you don't even know which country they have come from.
Digital forensics, there are various ways to really look into this. When I talk about, how do we catch them? You talk about digital forensics when we come to know earlier, what was happening? There were cyber cafes made in India. You remember those times? I don't know. You're too young. I really don't know your age, but then it's like cyber cafes were running across India.
Sure, yeah.
And those cyber cafes had a detailed register where the person who's accessing one particular computer number 1, computer number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they had to write their name. And then what happened? There was a list of names on computer number 1, computer number 2. If anybody out there did any crime, the police used to reach there through the IP address of the particular computer, and they used to trace them out, and then they had that, yes, this particular person has done. But now what is happening, that every nook and corner, we have computers, iPads, mobile phones, laptops, technology is moving in at every edge. We can even find a guy committing a crime in a village somewhere in Punjab or maybe Haryana. You never know. So, when you are talking about the crime which is committed by the computers, you have a particular IP address, the tablets, and when you're talking about the mobile phones, then you have to locate talk to the cybercrime cells, and you have to locate where is this phone is located in which area, actually. Then you catch up with the phone number, the person, and then you go out there. And then you have to look into how the crime was committed. Was the crime committed by the person who's having this mobile phone particularly, or by the person who is into, like, he has this phone, but he's illiterate, but this phone had been, taken by some other person. Again, this is an identity theft. The person who's holding the phone, we cannot see him committing the crime. Right? This is a very diligent thing which the lawyers and the police have to lead. There again comes the cyber psychology, where you have to trace out the criminal. You have to really talk to him. You have to interview him. You have to really interrogate him. look into his psyche, leave him alone for a few days, then again, you have to go out and look into his behavioral analysis. As the American, I told you that they have their unit, behavioral analysis unit. So you have to go ahead and keep finding that who's the real person behind it. That is how you explore. In a minute,
Right.
in a switch of a minute, you can get, because there are CCTV cameras and many things. They added this thing in the event, so you can find it easily. That's not a problem these days.
So in many cases, it has been said that by tracking online behavior of people who are behaving radically or behaving in a very unsafe way, you can trace dangerous criminals and also potential terrorists, etc.
Yeah.
So and there are programs in the US especially, and there are in other countries too, which are doing this. There are privacy concerns about this, of course. But at the same time, do you think this is actually possible or feasible that you can identify potential attackers or potential murderers or criminals who by tracking their online behavior?
Yeah, I mean, like again, I repeated that when you talk about cyber terrorism, I'll give you an example of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, when the 9/11 thing happened in America, how did he access? Every minute, every single minute, he, with his entire network of criminals, his own people, every minute he was changing the SIM card. They were accessing and they were throwing so that the police cannot trace them, And finally, this 9/11 happened. Nobody had come to know. And then, the security, the alerts had to go. The cyber terrorism, when it happens, that is, they prepare, but we've seen in the films also that they prepare a blueprint of how they have to go ahead and they can work. Now, if you talk about people like Snowden equally, he's one of the world's biggest hackers. I still remember Devang Mehta when he was alive. We caught up with a boy who was 14 years old and he had hacked NASSCOM's site. And NASSCOM had registered around 1,000 IT companies with them. And when Devang Mehta, he came to know about this little boy who was 14 years old, we caught up with him and we brought him at NASSCOM and we said, now you will be working with us. He was so diligent. This is a different case. But now when I talk about cyber terrorism, as I told you, like these people, they really make their blueprints and they go according to them. Many a times police, it is able to crack the blueprints and they catch them, as I tell you, the money laundering even, the World Bank. Someday, if it is chased, and if you really read the results of companies, sometimes when you Google it out, you'll see many branded companies have lost billions of dollars, and they don't come in open that this has been done with the company, because tomorrow anybody who comes to know who's the part of a stakeholder in the company, they will really go ahead and leave the company, and even they don't put it loose in the news or the public so that any other hacker can come in. So these kind of events which are happening, maybe cyber terrorism, the murders which are happening, they can all be easily traced online through the digital forensics. The crimes which are happening, which is murder and all, of course, they are the things are the CDs or the computers which are being confiscated by the police. They are sent to the cyber forensics laboratories, where we look into what kind of a crime has happened and what time it has been happening and all. So there's one particular forensics laboratories which are there. One is in Hyderabad in India. But still, I'm not happy with these forensic laboratories, because we're still way behind, what the foreign countries they own. Actually, the other countries, they're having America and UK and all other countries, Canada and all. So we are way behind, we're far off. Digital forensics is one very interesting subject. And if I would also like to request, artificial intelligence or whatever is now newly coming up, you should always, all of you should even follow Steve Norrie on LinkedIn. he gives you many things which you can see actually, you know, how he really talks about the identity theft, how he talks about the artificial intelligence, the projects, digital forensics. So me and Steve, we keep sharing many things at times, you know, which is very important actually. So you have to follow a subject like digital forensics. You have to have a course starting for that, so that the children can really learn digital forensics. And this is a very vast subject, Ramanuj. It is a very vast subject where, you know, the lawyers who are into learning cyber laws, they can learn digital forensics for the presentation in the honorable courts, that how the offenses have happened. They can just present the real way to the judges, honorable judges in the cyber courts. That's it.
Great. So we have a couple of questions. There's a question that we have regarding, you know, psychology of criminals committing any kind of crime against children in the cyberspace.
Can I read it on chat? Who has written this question?
I mean, I don't see her name right now.
How does one increase cyber policing without infringing people's privacy? Okay, that's a good question. How far can we allow ourselves to go? Let me reply them in order. How does one increase cyber policing without infringing people's privacy? And how far can we allow ourselves to go that in order to prevent crime, we surrender our Article 21 right? Okay, that's right to privacy he's speaking about. Aditya, first of all, your question is how does one increase cyber policing without infringing people? You know, this the government has to set down parameters actually, and I'm sorry to say that Honorable Mr. Ravi Shankar is sleeping. You know, he's doing nothing actually. When it comes down to encryption, also one fine morning, you know, he jumped out of his bed. You know, his PS or somebody had come out with an infringement bill, and then suddenly he said he took back his this thing, and he said no, we are all dependent on you people. You know, we will not chase you on WhatsApp, we will not chase you on your privacy this thing on the grounds, and we will not look into it. Rather, we will be discussing this point with the audience, but till date I cannot find an encryption bill. Still we are under the scanners, you know. And the cyber policing is, you know, it can only, without infringing people's privacy, is only when you really have proper laws actually, you know. And that is what Article 21. So it is right to privacy every individual has, but this right to privacy will really it cannot be much private till the time government pays attention to these policies which have to be really done. I'm sorry to say that, and that they should be done actually. Now the second question is Chinese may use human psychological weakness, individual, collective in cyber apps to lure our young demographic graphic profiles, part of a symmetrical insidious structured long-term campaign without making a noticeable spike appear warfare. Yes, they can do that. They can definitely. Chinese are very intelligent now. We are facing the virus right now, the pandemic. Now they are very diligent people, Sanjay. I would like to tell you that they can do anything, you know. So don't beware of. We have to work on this, you know. Through these cyber apps, as you can see, this Miko, Bigo, and TikTok and all, they are all Chinese companies. They have come down and they've already lured our youngsters into nonsense, you know. And many crimes are happening online these days. Kunal Pandey recently in the BIOS locker room incident, the main culprit came out to be a girl who has changed her identity from a girl to a boy. And was commenting about other girls in this situation. Police doesn't file a report against her and just leave her by giving a warning. Was this lawful? No, not at all. I think Kunal, these days when we are speaking about gender equality, and you know, we are saying nahi, aurat ka bhi adhikar aadmi ke barabar hona chahiye and all this stuff. So why not a girl going to the jail? You know, if she's done such a crime, if she's committed, why police giving a warning? We women, please, I would request, when we are talking about, as I said, gender equality laws, the foreign countries, the foreign laws, they don't give you that loopholes that you're a woman and please, okay, you've done this, it is a very timid thing, and you are left out. No, I think it is unlawful and she should have been behind the jail. Would you explain about the career path for cyber lawyer? Okay, career path is, as a cyber lawyer, of course, you can be on the board. And now when the cyber courts are coming in India, which as a team we are working on with the Honorable Prime Minister, because there's only one cyber court right now in India, and that is in Delhi. So, we have appellate tribunals actually, but then I wanted with the other team like Pawan Dugal, Rodney Ryder, we are all talking about proper cyber courts, because what is happening, the criminal courts are judded up with these cyber matters. So when we have a family court, we have a consumer forum court, we have separate courts for separate other things, tribunals, state tribunals, we've got narcotics. So why not, we have cyber courts. This was my contention, and the other people out there, Pavan and all of us as a team, we are working on it, and the Prime Minister has agreed on the same. And very soon we'll be coming up with the cyber courts, and you can be a cyber judge there. Then you can even join digital forensics. You can work into the forensics if you are interested. That could even be an alternative. Then as a cyber lawyer, if you're studying cyber crimes, you can be a professor, you can write books diligently, you can you can go ahead and do something on artificial intelligence, you can be a pleader in the courts, you can support the government, and you can really be a pleader in the cyber courts. That's it. And many things, many other things you can really do. As I said, writing books, or even you can be one expert to do many things, actually. Sanjay, to everyone, cybercrime is an old as stealing. Okay, change is only in the means used, leveraging technology. Yes, cybercrime easy, quick and big money. If unchallenged, may gallop. Yes, it will be. This has already been done, It has been done in India and in other countries. As I said, cyber laundering is happening. So a quick, big money. But then karma, as I tell you, Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, that karma comes round, You will be chased up. From Lal to everyone, how safe are the professionals and institutions who use Gmail and open emails whose data is stored in other countries, whereas per country's law, data may be given to statutory bodies on demand. Now this, you're talking about this right now. I'll talk about Google Maps right now. If your Google Maps is working, GPS is working, and you never know the next door neighbor is your friend and he's a hacker, like, or he or she is a hacker. Means like you have your girlfriend and her GPS is switched on, so anytime you can, and yours also, so she can trace you anytime, and you can trace anytime. So this is a common thing which I'm saying. So don't talk about emails. All your things are with Gmail, and of course, we never know what they're doing with it, actually. So one has to be very safe. And of course, as you said, that the country's data is stored in other countries. Right now, you can see even in between, when we were talking about, the voting rights of America, when Putin was wanting, Putin with Donald Trump had played a game, online game, and, Donald Trump became the president, and Hillary Clinton had lost, and the future is again, elections is ahead. So let's see what game is being played. Then one has to be very safe, and the countries have to define that, they have to really define that. What is the security measures they take? Now, this is Aditya. On the world stage, cybercrime, cyber warfare, and cyber terrorism are very vaguely defined, and such definitions for India are worse. So what kind of role will young lawyers have in shaping cyber law and policy? That's an intelligent question. Why don't you come ahead and join us? And we are doing that. Please, if you could please help us out. And I would love that if LawSikho can start assembling and calling for the research papers and the data. So I'll put LawSikho with the government. I'll connect you with the government IT department, And I want all the young lawyers, all you young lawyers, why don't you come someday and meet the Honorable Prime Minister who really want to come ahead with this, and let us talk with the Prime Minister. And I want LawSikho, whosoever has joined LawSikho, all you young lawyers, you can write a mail to Ramanuj sir and he can send me what the details are all about. Let you lawyers represent LawSikho and meet the Prime Minister diligently, and let us work on this, the policies, and with the Law Commission and the law people out there. That's it. Any other more questions? Okay. Your views on cyber computer human interface.
I think that is it.
Thereof. What is that? Arogya Setu. Okay, let us talk this question. This is interesting. Arogya Setu app requires location to be on every time. Would it not be harmful? It is very harmful. Please don't do that. Rahul Gandhi has done many things, I really don't know. He has spoken. And of course, the Honorable Prime Minister, it is risky. Please don't do that, I would never suggest it. You can off and on check Arogya Setu. It is not essential to keep it on always. I'm missing this question. Your views on cyber, computer, human interface, and any crimes related thereof. I've already discussed them out, there's many crimes happening these days. And now we
it's like, I think cyber. Asking a cyber kind of situation, I am guessing. Yeah. So anyway, that years away, we don't have any such situation as of now. So it's a hypothetical discussion, I guess. So there's one more case.
Like the case of Cambridge Analytica, there's a question here from Aditya again. Like the case of Cambridge Analytica, very few people are actually prosecuted for such corporate level crimes. Is there a future for cyber watchdogs? Cyber watchdogs are, those filters are always working, We've got all those filters jetted up. But the only thing is that, one has to be very, very particular with the corporate level crimes which are happening. Many times they are, you come to know after a time period that, this has happened. So till then, the criminal runs off. Or like, as a common thing I'm talking about, even the company itself knows, the company who has put the person into crime means the person has been made a scapegoat, and the companies who are suffering. So the companies who are all the corporate hubs who are suffering by all these kind of things, they're actually not prosecuted till the time the crimes are very big and all. And there's a future for cyber watchdogs. Of course, there is a future. As I told you, I'm working as an internet safety advisor. So we keep a knack of what abuse, where things are happening. But this is, like we have just social media forums. When I'm there, I always make them aware that please don't do these kind of things when it's like people are, writing or abusing and all those things. But parallelly, we are also looking into what all sort of crimes the children are committing out here, or the criminals are committing, according to that which we act actually. So of course, that is a very good thing. Cyber watchdogs are the future. Of course, yes. Anything more we need to discuss? Any other question, Ramanuj, from the audience? That's it?
Yeah, I think we have answered most of the questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Thank you so much. Any parting message that you'd like to share with the audience?
I would like to tell you here, Ramanuj, that you have very good children. Had it been more audience, I would have enjoyed answering their questions. But now you should build in a research paper, kind of a club of LawSikho, where the children can come up and they can put their minds with what do they really want from LawSikho, and how LawSikho can be a big, huge platform for these children to come down and even connect with the government, so that they are in future, with the placements, or even if they want to do something like, as one boy had written with the policies and laws and all that, they can really do that, come. So that we can remain in contact with you. Thanks a lot. Very useful information. Thank you so much, Lal and Aditya too, so that we can remain, you can remain in contact with Ramanuj sir, and he'll definitely put me up with anything. Other than, you can find me on social media platform, but I don't access more. Anything you can talk to Ramanuj sir, and he'll definitely put it to me. Personally, you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm there, but otherwise, I would always prefer, please, because many times I'm not there always 24/7. You can always put anything to Ramanuj sir, and his team will come back to me. I would like to even tell you that I would like to talk about digital forensics with LawSikho
All right,
in the future.
great.
So let's see if it works. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Nitin ji. Thank you, Jamshed Raza ji.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanjay ji.
Thank you,
Munna ji.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ramanuj sir. And let's have
Thank
yet
you,
another
Deepti.
session,
Thank you so much.
which I'll be speaking more in case if I get an opportunity some other day, because this was very less. Cybercrimes is a vast area. Please, you can put anything.
Sure. We look forward to have you again.
Please forward it to LawSikho.
So we look forward to have you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raman, sir. Thank you so much.